So I was informed by a recent court filing that there may be a lot of potential players that would love to come play Everquest on Daybreak's official servers now that they are actively going after the emu community of Everquest fans in court. If you're either a current, possibly temporary refugee of one of these or a potential future refugee who wants to give real Everquest a try, this video is for you. The last few years, there has been one of the larger experience boosts Daybreak hands out during the first week of July, so if they follow that trend, it's a great time to fire up an account or two. Picking a server to play on is a pretty daunting task if you're coming back from a long hiatus or just a new player to Daybreak's offerings. As you can see here, there's 20-some servers. If you click on one down at the bottom, it'll tell you the rule set, but it's a little cryptic at times if you're not familiar with all of the terminology. In reality, you probably only need to consider about 5 or so of them as a newer player, and one of those isn't even on this list, so stay tuned until the end for that. The first one that might be matching what you're looking for is Agnar. As you can see here, it's a Plane of Power Lock server, and that includes Lost Dungeons of Norath as well. It uses Daybreak's True Box rule, which means players can only have one character from each physical computer logged in at a time, although you can play from as many computers at the same time as you'd like. Agnar's population is a bit on the low side. I believe there's 3 to 4 guilds clearing Plane of Time there on a weekly basis. Getting to level 65, especially the early levels, may be a bit of a slog if you're only playing one account, as finding groups won't be that quick. This is a good choice if you basically only like the very beginning expansions of Everquest. Even though it might be a little bit slow at the start, you will get there, and once you get to level 43, you can group with anyone on the server, and once you do get to the max level of 65, there's never a fear of getting left behind. Just keep in mind, it really is not going further. That server launched in 2017, and they're still at Planes of Power and Eldon, so they do seem to be very committed about leaving it there. A garden for some, a prison for others. Alright, the next one you might find good is Fang Breaker. This is the bright, shiny new progression server that was just launched in May of 2025, and will be the best option if you're just looking for a place to do early expansion group content. Although its population seemed lower than a lot of other TLP launches, it will by far be the easiest place to find groups if you just want to kick back and kill some mobs. The server launched in the Lucklin expansion, where it will remain for a while, but with a level cap of 50 that will slowly increase. It has a lot of early EQ group content friendly mechanics. These include being one of the 2 servers which have their encounter locking system enabled. So training and quote-unquote kill stealing aren't really things apart from rare circumstances. It also has legacy characters enabled, which among other benefits means that each alt on the same account, which reaches maximum level, gives an experience bonus to all the other alts on that same account. And then probably the best feature of this rule set for the niche I've described that the server fits into is the new Resource Hunter feature, which gives on a daily basis some of the zones a random bonus. These include extra experience, bonus coins, extra loot, even increased skill up chances. And in effect, this also acts to push players into certain zones, making it easier to find others to play with, doing something similar as your own goals. Don't worry if you're concerned about a lack of resources, as official servers have picks that will spawn to make copies of open world zones if too many players are in there at once. Oh, one other thing about Fangbreaker, they added this weird adaptation of its True Box concept. First, you are limited to playing a maximum of 2 characters at once, but I don't think that's really enforced. Just be warned it could potentially be enforced and get your account suspended. I suppose. But the true box will be completely going away once the server hits planes of power. So we go from the most restrictive type of boxing that they've done to the most open within the first year. Weird, right? If you want to hear more about Fang Breaker, please check out the video I made going into more details on it. Okay, option 3 is Vanaki. This is really the one I think that might appeal to any journeying heroes, as it has the most creative rule set Daybreak offers and lets you play in some kind of god mode. You can think of it as Daybreak's ARPG style server. The server had a lot of weird rules, but the one that let it be like this currently is that there is no required level on gear, so level 1s can equip modern armor. Crazy, right? Yeah, actually it is, but it's a ton of fun to go get some Outer Brood gear and just wreck raids. If you choose to play here, you will, to be honest, want to buy a chrono or two to buy high-level gear and a honed Wormslayer, which will carry you quite far. Keep in mind, all the expansions are unlocked on Vanaki, so once you get to high level, you will also need to buy the most recent expansion to get into those zones, in addition to your monthly subscription. That also means, however, that all of EverQuest's 25 years of systems and features are unlocked on the server, so you'll have access to fellowships, mercenaries, etc. There's a lot to learn with this one, but being overpowered helps a lot. I have a full guide on the server on this channel as well, so if you're interested, it might be worth taking a look first. Alright, fourth, and the last one I'll mention here is Teik. The server was launched last year and was the most popular progression server ever. It still has a really good population, which is the main reason I'm recommending it, even though it will be a little hard to start on given it's already at level 70. The reason it's so popular is because the gear is almost entirely free to trade, which is only true on a couple other servers. Like Vanaki, if you're starting out here, you'll probably want to do so with a chrono or two, and the other thing you'll really want to consider is buying what's called a heroic character, which boosts you up to level 50 and will let you group with max level characters. You'll need to replace all the gear because it's really bad, but it does give you a couple decent bags and a mount. So, right, it'll take you a bit more effort to get up to speed on Teak, but I think it's a pretty good option if your goal is to play through a lot of the expansions. There should be a strong population there for years to come. So I didn't cover a lot of the other servers here, and the reason is that I just wouldn't recommend them for a formerly emu player who wants to give the official game a shot either for the first time or coming back after a long hiatus. They either have too low population or are too far along without a reasonable catch-up mechanism like Vanaki has, with lifting the required level restrictions on gear. So what's the fifth possible option I mentioned at the start? Well, that's the test server. You actually can't see it displayed here and need to change this setting on the launcher and wait while the game copies over the right files into your install path. Once you do that, the server select screen will only show you the test server and you can load in there. Now, why would you want to play there? Well, it's really the only reasonable free-to-play option that Daybreak offers. They have a version of free-to-play on the live servers, but it's really trash with restricting what you can do, so I think you'd likely not enjoy that at all and find it frustrating, if anything. All of those restrictions are lifted on the test server, although you will need to buy the most recent expansion to have access to the last 2 or 3 expansions they typically have locked that way. But otherwise, it works exactly like a subbed account. There's even a guild that raids there. Just keep in mind it's impossible to transfer off test, and I suppose it is possible it could even get wiped or whatever at a later date. It's really set up for testing new patches and such, although it has quite a few players who are there just as their home server. In any case, hope that's helpful. Like I said, it's quite possible one of the big XP bonuses of the year will be going out July 1st, so could be a good time to fire up an account. And otherwise, good luck out there, everyone.